Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm trying to get everybody in. Okay. Hi, April. May I make you my assistant today, and you admit everyone for me? Do you mind? Or Giselle? Giselle, do you want to be my assistant today? No answer. Metosila, you
Yes,
want to?
Doc. Yes,
Yes, you may, Doc.
Who said yes? Giselle, did you say yes?
yes, Doc. But I'm using my phone for the
Oh,
Zoom.
that
Doc.
might be
Is it
harder for
okay?
you. So Metosila, since
Yeah.
you're the first one, can I make you one?
Sure.
Okay,
Yes,
just
Doc.
make sure you admit everybody, okay?
I will.
Okay, so while I'm waiting on others, while you're admitting everybody, how's your week, everyone? You had a good week? Giselle, did you have a good
Uh,
week? You continuing to
not so, Doc.
enjoy your being back, or is it been hard for you because of the baby?
Yeah, it's hard, Doc, because of the baby. And as of now, Doc, we don't have classes for 3 days already because of the tropical storm.
Are you serious?
It's
That's the whole Cebu?
that's the whole Philippines, Doc.
Philippines,
There are a lot
wow.
of dead people in Mindanao, Doc,
Wow,
because
okay.
it's a strong one.
I'm sorry to hear that. That's crazy, right? And so did they
Yes,
say
Doc.
that estimate of when you will be reopened?
Right. It's on November 2, Doc, right after the Undas.
November 1st, yeah. Yeah, I forgot about the All Souls Day and All Saints Day. We don't celebrate that here. So it's just like a regular day for us. Halloween, which is the 31st, and that's a Monday. That's when kids would go and ask for candies in the neighborhood, and they wear their costumes. So that's pretty much how we celebrate it here. We do not do like we did in the Philippines, you know. So anyway, so there's Layla and April. I'm talking to Giselle and Metosila. Metosila, what's up with you? How are you doing? Your school is not open either?
No. I mean, I'm actually in Mindanao, particularly in Zamboanga, Sibugay. But then, although we are affected, but the problem is that I mean, we are not. We don't have the same situation with Zamboanga City, who is
Hmm.
I mean, who was submerged last night because of the tropical storm.
Wow, okay.
But then again, we just had our first quarter examination, and we are now on our long weekend starting today
Okay.
until
Okay.
Tuesday.
So the kids will not be missing much. I mean, you already kind of wrapped it up the first time. Okay. Layla, is yours affected? Are you affected also?
Good evening, Doc
Good evening.
Merlina,
Yeah,
and good
hey.
evening,
Is your school
teachers.
affected also? That there's no school including yours? I don't
We
know if it
have
included, huh?
we have some school that are affected, but luckily my school is not affected because it is high above the mountain,
Ah, okay.
and in the low-lying area school, ma'am, in our town,
Mm.
I think 5 schools are affected.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, that's kind of weird though that they would open some and then close some. That's kind of weird, right? It's kind of different. That's that here in the US, when one school opens, everybody is or not at all, you know. So it's I guess it's a maybe administrative decision. Who does the decision in the making in the schools in the Philippines? Is it the superintendents of schools, or is it like the department or the DepEd? Who does that?
Here in Cebu, Doc, it's the mayor. It's the mayor of the cities
Yeah.
or the town. They are
Ah,
going to coordinate with the schools division superintendent, Doc. So
okay.
here in Cebu, most of us don't have classes because the mayors are very active in this, especially in the when tropical storm is ano doc, because of, I think it's because of the Odette. Odette really has a great effect on the Cebuano lives. So because
Yeah,
of that, when there is heavy rain doc, the mayors would always
close it.
declare no classes. Yes doc.
I think that's smart because you play it safe, right? Because you've had like, I remember you've had some lately or somewhere that you've had some, landslide that buried schools, that had buried schools. So that's
Yes.
kind of scary. Yeah. So
Yes doc.
here it's quite different because anything related to school is with the Department of Education. And then I guess they also work with the governors, and the mayor at all in the city are not involved at all in schools. And so it goes, from the president, and then so the president will be all the 50 states, and then the governor will be at every state. So the governor of Arkansas, and then they meet with the other governors. I think they have Zoom meetings, and they actually would meet in person as well when making decisions. And also I think they just have a regular meeting every year. And then the governor would work closely with the Department of Education commissioner. Like in Arkansas, it's Commissioner Key, Johnny Key. And so they would be communicating with each other. And then, but a lot of the decision will be in Senator Key's. I mean, he was a senator, Commissioner Key, but then he also has the state advisory, the state board. So he has a state board. I don't know how many of them that had been elected by the people of Arkansas. So they actually represent our voice. And so he works well with the state board, and that's who makes the decision coming from, from the state level. But I think it's a state control is what it is instead of federal control. Like the only time that I remember in history that they've actually taken control by the federal level, was during that Little Rock 9, when they first integrated the African Americans and the white students, and they tried to force the Central High School in Little Rock to integrate, and they were blocking them. They didn't want these 9 Black students to come in. So the federal, the government the president had to actually call, his military to go over there and to intervene because of the safety of the students. So that's what I remember, that the federal level had to intervene. But other than that, it's usually state level, but not mayor level. Yeah, so it's kind of different, huh? All right, welcome. I see some new people. Marissa is back. Thank you, Marissa is back. And okay, April, and I do not know what happened to my link. I have, as you know, I've already paid for the Zoom, and I couldn't get into it. And it said here on mine that it said it's licensed. So I don't understand why my sign in would not work back to my. So I guess we'll find out in 40 minutes if it cuts us off. Come back in the same link. Because I'm trying to figure out, I may have to call Zoom and find out what's going on with my account, because starting last week, we've had problems. But anyway, today, I will not stay very long, and I'm sorry, but I have to go pick up the ladies, the teachers there at Helena and Brinkley and Lee County. So it's Abby and Leslie and Abby's husband, and I think Jing was from Helena, and also Kate, who is from Helena. So I'm going to be bringing them here because we have a big party here with one of my friends, and having a child's party, but they have lechon. So, everybody's missing lechon. And so they said, can you please get us? And so I said, okay, I'll get you. So I will pick them up, and we'll come back the same day. It's a long drive. It's a 4-hour drive for me. So it's 8-hour drive for me today. And then they'll be here tonight at my house. And then tomorrow we'll attend the party. We'll help them decorate and all that, and do games with the kids, and then have the party 1 to 4, and then head back to their place so that they could teach the next day. So I'm going to stay at the hotel, and then I'll be there working on Monday. So that's a long schedule for this weekend for me. But so anyway, but the soonest that I leave from the Zoom, the soonest that I could get there. So they want to go do some shopping and they want to do all kinds of other stuff on the way because, you know, they're stuck here without any driver yet because they're still trying to get their license, the driver's license. And that's why when you get here, even though, like, for example, Abby's husband already has been driving in the Philippines, he's still trying to study his written driving test in order for him to get his permit. And once you get your permit, after, I don't know, 60 days or 30 days, then you get to take your actual driving test, which should not be a problem with him, but it's just that knowing the rules and the new, you know, the different signs and all that here, he has to learn those and study the whole book. And so I think Abby, Leslie, and Alvin may be taking it at the same time. I don't know what their plans are, but hopefully they will, because they're planning to buy a car together if they get it. Giselle, I guess you're aware that Leslie's husband's got an interview on, when would that be? This coming week? Is that right, Giselle?
She hasn't told me yet, though.
Oh, okay.
We don't know.
End of this month. So hopefully they will get approved. I got a really happy email from Jean.
Wow.
That's Alginia, and some of you may know her. She said that her husband and kid just got approved. So they're gonna be here in November, I guess, you know, as soon as that she will buy the ticket. So I'm so excited for her. I'm sure she is too, because she's missing them. You know, so there are a few of them that are working on getting their families here, because you just don't feel complete, you know, without them. So anyway, anybody have a question? Any questions for me? Can someone, Layla, do you mind, if you don't mind, to post on the GC that we are on, but the look at my link. I just sent a link on GC. I do not know if anybody's still up or whatever, but I am expecting more than us. I figured they might be in the wrong link. So I just sent the link of this. So maybe we'll have some people that, okay, they say, good evening, everyone. Okay, that's what Layla said. Yeah, did you say yes, Layla? Can you do that for me? I'm surprised Mike is not here. Mike and Dr. Elvin usually are here, right? Okay, so April, let's start with yours. April, do you have your camera on? April. Anyway, April and Johnson and Dina and Mike are the 4 teachers that I'm working on helping them with H-1B visa. Well, last week I met with Ms. Mills, hopefully for the last time, looking at their paperwork. We actually went from one question to the next, and just kind of, I thought it was going to be like a 1-hour job. It took me all day and her all day to actually look through and the documents, the evidence, and so on. So when I left her office late, it was ready to go. All that was waiting for is her to print the check. So hopefully, I'm really hoping, you know, fingers crossed, that they could mail it today. I mean, not this week, you know, this coming week. So because they are paying for the premium processing, which is two-week processing, 15 days. I think they're guaranteed to be 15 days. They'll know the result. So if it's approval, we'll know in 2 weeks. So if it's denial, then we're gonna have to figure out what the next steps are. They said the reasons for denial may be incomplete things, you know, deficient, where you have to submit more things, or if it's denial, actual denial because of whatever reason they say, then we're gonna have to figure out what next steps are. We're hoping and praying that it will just be approval, and then we don't have to worry about it. All they have to do then is get their visa and get their DS 2016, and then get her in their interview. So that's what the best situation would be. So I'm kind of nervous about it, because once it's out of our hands, it's out of our hands. We don't have any control over it. And so I told Ms. Mills, you know, this Ms. Mills, the one that's taking care of Helena in the office. And so I said that that's what worries me, that what if they get disapproved? I just hate that, you know, but I have to really accept that we did what the instruction said, and we did not leave anything blank and all that we did everything right, I hope. And then, so if If they deny, I told her, if they get denied by saying deficient, that means that we need more information, more paperwork, then they'll give us time to, to send the paperwork they're missing. And then once they receive it, then the 2-week count then will start after they receive it. So if it's deficient. So hopefully, April, hopefully that would be okay.
Yes, Doc, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm listening, Doc. I just have to close the window because
Yeah.
the rain
It's
is so
okay.
heavy.
I'm excited. I'm excited for you though, because we put down there that hopefully you'll be here like by November, December anyway, hopefully before the New Year's. That's what we were hoping, because I do not know what else for everyone's purposes. What's the next step? Like, I know if you get approval and then you get
Yes, Doc.
you get interview in Manila, which you bring your 2016, and then I'll work with you with what documents you need to bring. What else happens there? What else do you have to do in Manila?
I think, Doc, the next one is the polo and the OEC from the POEA, and then we're ready to go.
Okay, what is the polo? What is the polo?
I think that's agreement between the government, Philippine government and the employer, the
Okay.
district, I think.
Does that take long?
There are cases, Doc, that took so long. It depends upon how the HR will give the documents they are looking for, something like that. But if the district will work hand in hand with the government requirements, then there are also teachers who are done with polo very quickly.
So what you need to do is you need to befriend your HR person, whoever your HR person. That's in Helena, it's Miss Mills. And so so you need to find out who that is and befriend that person. Make sure you're in the good side, buy them donuts or whatever it is, rice, whatever it is that you're gonna buy them, so that they'll be in your good side, because they'll prioritize you that way.
Yeah, and we are also planning to do that too. We are also reading some ways on how they can, expedite their papers, and that's what they are doing. They are keep on following up, calling, and calling. So
right.
So
can you look for an interview? Did you look at the interview calendar yet and see? Because what happens is that if you get the interview calendar, and I can send you the link of that, I think I have it somewhere. Then if there's no interview available, and go ahead and take the most, the soonest that you can get, and then after that, we'll write a expedition letter, your letter to expedite your interview. And then once you do that, then you should be able to be interviewed faster. I think I remembered Maria when she first got, her interview appointment, it was going to be like that February. And so her superintendent wrote a letter, and then I asked permission from her that if any other school would need that letter, a sample of it, that she said, I'll feel free to share it. So I will share that with you. And then she sent a letter to the just a letter for her to upload, that she needed to be interviewed sooner. And so she got interviewed in October. So she was here right after that. So it got, she came here 4 months early because of that letter to expedite request, they call it. So you make sure you, April, go ahead and email me if you don't mind, to send you, all 4 of you, the interview link for the U.S. Embassy for the appointment, and then also the letter of to expedite. If you don't mind to do that, because I know I'll forget it if I don't ask you to do that for me. Okay, email me. Okay, those 2 things.
the letter.
Yes.
The letter
and link.
The letter and the schedule.
Yes.
Of the link. Yes. Doc.
Yes. Yeah. If
But
you can do that.
we can get schedule after the approval of the petition, right? Doc?
But you still want to know right now what it looks like, so that if
what
you
are the
need,
requirements? Yeah.
yeah, if you need expedition,
So we can get ready earlier.
yes, get ready, and then have your somebody, we will
Yes,
have.
Doc, we will do that.
Yeah, because Miss Mills will actually have the letter. I can give her the letter. So you just really need a link, because I want you to know what's the soonest available, the 4 of you. And then that way,
Yes,
if you get approved within 2 weeks, then then you already know, what to do, and that Miss Mills can send you the letter and so on. Okay. So hopefully.
Yeah, I think for at this moment, the available date is third or last week of November already.
Okay. So it's not as bad as I was
November,
wondering
yeah.
if it was like months.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's not bad. If there's some
Not-
November
no,
availability, you'll be here by December. That is not bad at all. You'll spend Christmas here that way. Yeah. That would be hard for your
Last week,
family,
yeah.
but at least you'll be able to send them some money before Christmas. Yeah. Anyhow. Yeah. So, okay.
I'm sorry, I'm struggling with my internet, I think.
Yeah, well, when somebody told me about with those, I think was telling me about your some classes are not on because of that weather problems, then I wonder about your internet, you guys. So sounds like your internet seems to be doing fine. Sheila Borromeo. Sheila, are you new?
Hello.
Are you new? I want to welcome you. Are you new
No,
to our group?
I was here last session.
Okay, I guess I don't
but
see your face. Otherwise, I'd remember.
Oh, wait.
Oh yeah, you were. Yeah, you
it's
were.
me.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming back. And of course, we know Giselle, and then Marissa, you were here last time too, right? Marissa San Diego, okay. In April, I just talked to her. Leila, what are you doing on your paperwork now for Vanderbilt?
Doc Merlina, the lawyer of the Vanderbilt, had already contacted me, and they have already passed my papers in the USIS, and they are waiting for the 7 days approval. And I am also waiting for my for their email, and my employer, Miss Wilson Moses, is always contacting me also, and she always sends me a email every day.
That's nice.
Asking what I am doing, and she always reminds me that she never forgets my visa, and she always told me that, when are you going to be here in Nashville?
Yeah.
So I told her,
yeah.
tell your attorney to please process my visa very fast, so that I can be in Nashville
Yeah.
early January,
Oh,
because
yeah,
my start date is on January 23,
Okay.
2023.
Well, the thing is, the college professors have a very different process. You are very fast because you're just exempted. You get here like within the same week. This is how fast the college level, university level is, because there is an exception for you. Just, I'm kind of just like, they want it fast just because you're, college professor. You need a college students to have a teacher, but it seems to be like way different than the K-12. To me, I felt like they're being discriminated because they have to go through all this long process because there's so many. But I guess there's not very many college professors, and so that's why college professors can get here within, same week or the 2 weeks later. Because I have a friend whose husband is a visiting professor at Florida State University, and she is they are the parents of my former international student, and so I always know when she comes, and her husband will just like, send his papers, and then he gets approved, and then they're here, and so she had stayed with me like for a month before. And so so it's kind of neat how to know, because she's the husband is also a researcher, and I think if you're a researcher, you get in fast, and that's why he's a researcher in the field of science, and so I think he's here nearly every year, because she always contacts me. Yeah.
They are paying my visa premium, so that she said, so that I can be here as early as January. And I already told her about you, and she is very excited to meet you one day when
Love to.
I will be there in Nashville. So I told her about you, and I even send her your picture so that she will be familiarized with your face
Well, that's so sweet of you.
when she sees, because she's very interested with our groups, because she wants also to hire some of some outreach sped teacher in our group if there is. And
Yeah, why won't you give her my email and I will send her the whole list, and that way she could see all the special
I
ed.
already
you did it.
sent her, but I think she's kind of busy right now
Busy?
because it is yes.
Okay, ask her if you can give me hers, and then that way I will send it to her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it will have the link and everything. And so that way our sped teachers can also come. And so our two kids, Galen and Libby, are there in Nashville. They live in Nashville. They've lived there for years. And then our two grandchildren are there. So when we visit our relatives, our immediate relatives, that's where I go. I go to Nashville. You're only about 3-4 hours from Memphis. So if you ever want to go see, the home of Elvis Presley, Graceland, it's only 4 hours, for you, and then 3 hours for me. So we can actually meet in Memphis, and that's kind of halfway, so close to halfway. So anyway, that's exciting. So you'll have to let me know once you get approved.
Yeah,
because I think,
because
college.
I think she needed 3 more outreach teacher for Susan Gray School, Peabody School. So I told her about our group, and I suggested that if we have some special education teacher here, I think she could hire some 3 of them.
Okay. Is there somebody here right now who's attending that our special ed? We don't have anybody. Okay, I have at least 10 or 12, if I remembered it correctly, because there's not very many in special ed, science and math. Those are the 3 areas that are really low. And so also library science, which is like a media specialist, which is like a librarian. A bunch of the schools here in Arkansas are looking for librarians because there were so many that retired, and they are trying to replace them. And it's hard because the librarian had to go through this extra master level classes to become a librarian, and it's 48 hours. So almost like it's more than the administrators. Administrators, we only have to get like 30 hours, 10 courses in order for us to get the next degree. But theirs, they have to do 16 of them. So that's a lot. That's a lot more for the pay increase that they will get over a teacher. So I guess they have to do a lot of media things, the technology things they have to learn, and so on. And so it takes longer to go, and so people are not going to want to be, unless they're just really crazy about books and want to become a librarian, then they don't go. And so we don't have very many. We don't have very many at all. So if you know of anyone that is a librarian and is wanting to come to the US, we really do have a need for them. Like I could find them a job like quickly, because I have at least 5 superintendents that had emailed me asking me for some. And so anyway, so that would be some announcement that you need to tell your librarian. They have to have a degree in library science. I don't know what degree. Do you know what degree it is there in the Philippines if you become a librarian? Or is that like one of the jobs that you just put on a teacher? You don't have a special librarian. How does that work in the Philippines?
I think you also need to take a LET exam to be a librarian.
Okay, so there is a special exam, but you don't have to go to school, back to school.
And I think it's like one major also.
Oh, okay. Okay, and then there is a test.
A librarian.
Okay, well, if you know of any librarian that's wanting to go, and it's a person that's, you have to have that good personality, because the librarian in the US is you actually have classes with students. You have, every week the students will come to you once a week, and you actually have like study skills, whatever it is your school, needs. A bunch of the librarians here, which I love, is partnering with the classroom teachers. And when they do research and we do anything like that, then they are the partner of the teacher. And then that way for resources and links and some of their subscriptions that the school has paid for, give them access to that and help students. I mean, it's actually a partnership between the teacher, usually an English teacher, science teacher, with the librarian, And so, So I think that's to me that's a very good job to have, especially if you're big on technology, right? Big on technology and big on research and all that. And you have to, that's what I'm saying, is you have to be good with people, because you have to work with adults and kids, you know. So anyhow, so that's what we have a need for: special ed, library science, high school math, high school science, math, and special ed. And literacy at one time was a need, but now I think there is a lot of majors in literacy now. So literacy, I don't think is no longer like a rare thing. So we have a lot of literacy teachers that are English teachers. They call them literacy here. So reading and English teachers are literacy teachers. And so they have, we have a few. I have like 2 or 3 pages of it. So we don't have a shortage of it right now. So do you have any question for me before I move on to whatever we need to talk about? What, do you have any question, like either immigration or teaching questions or cultural questions about the Philippines and the US? Yesterday, I mean, this week, I had a call from, Walton Foundation, which is like, I don't know if you know Walmart here. Walmart is like a Gaisano in ours. They're everywhere in the US. And so that they have a foundation that helps teachers, that helps, educators and, any other, entity in order to do your programs. Well, for some reason, somebody from the Department of Education had mentioned my name to this guy, Michael. And so he messaged me. And of course, when somebody messaged me that, hey, we are this organization, so I have to Google them. I have to look at their website, make sure it is a legitimate one before I would even respond, right? And that's what you should do. Because there's so many scammers there now. And so so I did that, and he is legitimate. He actually has a number local, and he has an office there nearby me, 2 hours from me. And so I finally, he sent me his phone number. So I called him because he left me a message also. So I called him and I had a really good conversation with him, because he said that he's so excited that we have this teacher shortage, solution, that bringing Philippine teachers, international teachers here is a good solution, because he had heard some really great things about what's going on in Arkansas, that our teachers here are really doing an amazing job and really good at content. And he asked me, like, what are the things that they need to really be having a PD on, professional development on? I said, classroom management. Classroom management is an issue, because I noticed that some of our teachers, especially our science teachers, our high school teachers, it seems to be a struggle with them, because the kids are so much taller. I mean, some of the kids are like 6-footer, and here we are 4'11", 4'10", 5, some of us, but they're like 1 foot, a ruler. A ruler or more taller than you, and they are just like, they're just really, big kids, and it's intimidating physically sometimes. But you cannot show them that. You cannot show them that, because I'm only 4'9", maybe now 4'10", but it's really the voice and the way that you are confident in, I guess you fake it until you make it, kind of type thing. But the classroom management is the number one thing. So if you have problems in the Philippines right now on getting the kids controlled, you're gonna have times 10 problems here. So you're gonna have to, if you feel like, oh, that's my weakness, I really need to be tougher, I really need to be, stricter, I need to be more firm and consistent, you're gonna have to work on that before you come here. Like I would suggest, like observing somebody that's really good, observing somebody that's really good at it. Let me get my husband to turn off the TV. Okay, he forgot I was in Zoom. Anyway, so it's muted. So classroom management is an issue. Is it an issue in the Philippines at all? Tell me, anybody, can you tell me if that is an issue in the Philippines? You find like it's hard to control kids. It's hard to teach because you cannot control kids. And somebody give me an opinion about that.
Yes, hello, Doc. Actually, before the pandemic, I mean, it was not an issue for me. But right now, after the pandemic, and then when the face-to-face classes began, it's a problem because some of the students are really, they are not really used to it because it was for, I mean, they were locked for more than 2 years, I guess.
Yeah. So you have to
So
remind them about how to behave. Is that what you're
yes,
saying? Well, how long did it take
absolutely.
you to do that? How long did it take you to get them to be back, to the
Uh,
question?
Actually, it took me around 2 weeks or so because I mean I have to adjust and they also have to adjust,
Mhm.
and it seems that my skills are not that sharp anymore. So I also have to take a look at some alternatives as well.
Right. Well, that's good. So what were the strategies that you used? Because that to me, the classroom management and knowledge of students, it really go hand in hand. Like if you know your students and you build that trust relationship with your students, they will behave for you because they want to do things for you when they like you because they know you and you know them, and they're going to do anything to please you. And that's what students do. It don't matter if it is elementary, high school, college. That's what they do. If we like somebody, we're going to try to please that person and make sure that person is happy with us, or pleased with us. And so did everybody else have the same experience as Methuselah when you came back face to face from the module or the computer online? Did you have the same issue, like you have to pretty much reestablish your classroom rules and expectations?
Doc Merlina, I would just like to add.
Uh-huh.
So it still depends on the teacher,
Mhm.
his or her classroom expectation. As for me, as for my experience, on the first day of my class, I already told them my classroom expectation, that is be safe, be
Mhm.
kind, and be ready, and
Wow.
always respect their teachers as well as respect their classmates.
Very good.
So that is my classroom management, and I never find for it difficult for my students to adjust, although that they love for that pandemic. It still depends on the teacher, that she could um be ready with her classroom expectations on the first day of class.
Yeah, I think you got it. You both of you and Methuselah are both right, because it does depend on the teacher, and in Methuselah's case, that's what he had to deal with. And everybody, we kind of have to deal with that every time the school year starts, right? Because you have a totally different group of students, and what worked for last year may not work for this year. And what I'm finding is posting your classroom rules, and having students to actually um, come up with the rules yourself. You may have, for example, you said be kind, and that's what you're thinking in your mind, but you're going to have them to brainstorm what are the things that so to give suggestion, and then later on they might have a different word. Instead of be kind, it might be something else, but that's kind of, you already have something in mind, but you still need their input, and go with the majority of what they say, because that's going to be aligned to what you're thinking anyway. The three, four things that you mentioned, they're going to be mentioned. And so although you may already have it in mind, but you really need to make sure they have their input, because if you created that, they have ownership of it. And so most teachers, and this is all the teachers I observe, I always ask them, please post your expectations, your rules in your classroom. You need to, make it big and laminate it and post it on the wall. Because then if you have somebody that's disobeying rule number 1, all you have to do is point. Let's look at rule number 2 again. What did we say? Whatever. So then you have that common language. This we have established it. In my classroom, I used to have them to like act out. Like, okay, I want you to act out. Like, what's a non-example of that? Oh, they would be like, example. Oh, do this, and that's the funny part, because when they get to act out like like they're not supposed to, right in front of class, and then after that, I say, okay, I want you to show me an example of what it should look like. Of course, that's kind of the boring part, but it is powerful, because they think it's funny. Anytime that you make your school your students laugh, anytime that you shock them, they'll remember it. So novelty and shock and surprise. Those are things that if you do that, they will always remember it. Because my students at the end of the year, they would still, we would like recall, what are the 10 things, 10 highlights of your year? And then they would say, some of them, like, yeah, I remember that when we first started, so-and-so was acting like this. And some of our role play, I do a lot of role play in my classroom, even as simple as like science, waves, how does the wave work? So they were over there, like, standing up and, whatever the characteristics are, and that's what they're moving. And okay, the electrons and the neutrons, how did they move? And, get in the room and see how are they close together or whatever. So I would like have them to act out, because you kinesthetic learners, they would actually remember that. And with social studies, we have study about the Native Americans and how they did whatever. So I would have them do a role. Okay, let's do you will be this person, you'll be this person. Okay, how would this look like? Okay, we just describe a scene. How does that look like? And so they would like act it out in the front. So my students were like, it's almost like a drama school, because they really enjoy that part. Reading a story and it's almost like having a casting, like, okay, who will be a very good, the main character. And then they would actually, read me apart and say how expressive they are, to be able to, okay, you're hired, you'll be that one. And so whenever they read the story, then they are the ones that's going to be reading it. And then after that, I would pause and have them to act it out. Now I want you to, some of them had to bring the book, some of them really have good memory and they would just like ad lib it. But my whole point is that comprehension. They understood it better, especially your struggling learners, even your special ed kids that are mainstream to your classroom. They will actually remember those things because they think it's funny. They're over there laughing and giggling and so on. Once you make the kids do that, they will remember it. They will come home and tell their parents, who ask them, what did you learn today? Well, so-and-so is so funny today, acting like a Native Americans and having this war with, Hieronimo with whatever, so they would, I knew this because the parents would share with me during parent-teacher conference, or they would write it in their communication notebook. I had this communication notebook that's written by students every day. So it's a 3-way notebook because they write to their parents and I write to them sometimes when I have something that I want to brag on them, but it's in that page. And then it's signed by the parents. Elementary, that works really well. For the high school, I want them to get it done. It didn't have to be signed by the parents unless there's something that I really want the parents to know. Then I would require that student to have it signed tonight, because I want your parent to be aware that you had you're an A and B student and you had a C or D in an assignment. So I want your parents to be aware of that. And any time that I have a D or F, anybody that gets a D and F or any assignment that I have, I always make sure the parents are aware of it, because you don't want the parents to say later, oh, I did not know my students struggled. How come you never let me know? Well, in my class, they could never say that, because they write every day. I write to them, they write to me, and that, sometimes I would answer it and so on. And the students have to, to tell their parents. So I think, communication with parents so important, because you don't want parents to be saying that, I know we're supposed to be partners with the teacher, but then we never hear from the teacher. I've never heard from this teacher. I don't even know what she's doing, so you should not give them that excuse, to kind of be a cop out that they're not being able to help their students because you did not tell them that the student is struggling. And a lot of times too, when a student struggle in our classroom, we need to see if we can find some help. Like, for example, if somebody struggles in reading, well, if you have some tutoring experiences, or in America, usually they have a tutoring classes at the at the end of the school, and then they pay the teachers like, oh my gosh, $40-50 an hour. I think Abby's getting $45 an hour, and that's 2 or 3 hours. She's getting like $405 every week just for tutoring. So she's got an extra $1,620 every month. And that is just from tutoring. That is not her like real actual job. So she's making good money, because most teachers do not want to do that. They are so tired by the end of the day, they do not want to do tutoring. So they are like, oh, ask somebody else. And Filipinos, I'm finding, we want that extra money. So a bunch of the teachers are actually, volunteering to become tutors, because they do pay you. you know, 2 or 3 hours, and some of them 1 hour, but my gosh, you know, you make an hour, in an hour, $45, $50, 2,500 pesos in 1 hour. That is a lot, right? And so Helena, April, Johnson, who's here, they are paying $50 an hour in yours. So if you want to, if you want to tutor, and in summer school, in summer school, they have opportunity also to become summer school teachers. And what I did was I met with the superintendent like before the school is out, and I said, hey, I talked to the Filipino teachers, and we have 3 that wanted to become one. So once you start choosing, I hope you choose them, because they're not going back to the Philippines this summer, and they're wanting to save up money in order to go back next summer. So will you please give the opportunity? They did. In Helena, most of their summer teachers were our Filipino teachers. And so they really did earn money. You know, you could earn $2,000 very quickly, you know, because summer school, I think, pays $200 a day. And that 200 is maybe half a day, like you're done by noon. So, and so you still have your half a day, but then, so that's 200, that's $1,000 a week. So if you do it for 2 weeks, you got your $2,000. So that's 100,000 pesos just for teaching 2 weeks in the summer. And Layla, you may have opportunities like that in college too, because I know one of my professors said that she was making like 99,000 for the 9 months a year. So that's 100,000, that's 5 million peso. And then in the summer, she can also get 20,000. So another million for the summer. And that's only for 5 weeks. Yeah, that's only for 5 weeks, because summer term here in the college is 5 weeks. So summer 1 is 5 weeks, summer 2 is 5 weeks. And summer 2 usually starts after July 4th. So yeah, so you're gonna make lots of money when you get here. And college, you make a lot of money. I don't know how Nashville is, but I just know that Vanderbilt, they charge their students a lot of money. Vanderbilt is one of the most expensive schools in the US to get into. So to be part of Vanderbilt family, you should, I hope that they do pay well, because there's a university here that where one of the universities my husband went to. I don't want to name the names, but they are charging a lot, like 3 or 4 times what the state level. For example, if the Arkansas State University where I'm teaching would charge $3,000 a semester, they'd be doing like 12. I mean, times 3, times 4, times 5. They are very expensive. And so you would think that they pay a lot more, right? They don't. I make a lot more than their teachers. And I'm a state university, which means that I'm funded, where our school university is funded by the state. They're private. The private universities are much more expensive. And but the sad thing is they don't pay their teachers as well as the public. Just like the elementary, the K-12, the private school here pays really low, and then the benefits are way not as good, and then the public schools are paying more. Is that the case in the Philippines? Is that the case in the Philippines, or is it backwards?
Yeah, it's the same here.
The same. So
Yeah.
so they're getting the teachers that really cannot get a job in public school, then they go to the private school, and then later on they will come in the public school after they get experience. That's what I'm finding, because I do accreditation visit also to private school, and that's one from my interviews with the teachers. That's kind of how what I gathered, that they're just like short timing it in order just to get into the public school. You know, so they need to have that experience so they can interview again to the public school and get in, because like the health insurance here is ridiculous. When you pay, you know, everybody is required to buy insurance. It's $500 a month, 25,000 pesos a month to pay for your insurance. A college would be better, Layla. They would have, because they are gonna be college level, there may be 100, maybe a fifth of it. So schools would usually kick in about half. So if yours is 500, schools would usually get like, 250 of it is school pay. But the problem is when you retire, you don't have any more. The school does not pay you anymore. They pay the half of it. So a bunch of the retired teachers, friend of mine, they're actually working at like a Walmart or some other side hustle, or teaching Chinese students online, because the insurance is ridiculous. I got lucky that because I worked for the state level Department of Education at the end, so mine is about half. So it's like somebody's, still paying, but it's ridiculous. As a J1 visa person, you're gonna be paying for your insurance, which is really very good, $90 a month or something, very cheap. You have a way better cheaper insurance than the local teachers here, because it's through your J1 sponsor. You pay them, that's through them. So it's like a group thing. And then I think for 2 years, and then you don't pay taxes either for the first 2 years. And in the third year, you may have to pay, because J1 visa, the maximum that you can stay is 5 years. And so within, like, by the third year, you should be like, I'm going to be working on, after April and them's paperwork is approved, I'm going to be working on getting J1 converted to H1B for the teachers that have been here, in order for them to stay. Because once it converts to H1B and you are H1B visa for 6 years, you get your green card and you'll be here permanently. And the maximum of 6-1B is 6 years. So J1B for 5 years, and then a J1 visa for 5 years, and then H1B for 6. So that's 11 years. And but the sooner that you switch it, the sooner that 6 years would count, right? In order for you to get your green card. So the path to green card is not J1, it's H1B. So that's why, the ones that are here that I'm processing, like Mike and them, for H1B, they're a step ahead of the others that's been here who are getting their J1. And that's why they were saying, well, are we gonna have ours too? And I said, yeah, I'm kind of, this is my practice with them. I know now how to do it. So with Miss Mills, so we can do yours, because in that school, they will have 15 Filipino teachers. So right now they have 11, and we're waiting for the last 4. And so they have the most of what I know of what have helped. They have the most, because there's about 30 of them close to the area. But they have the most, like half of them are in that school. And which I'm so grateful, because that is the school with the most need. Like in the whole state of Arkansas, Helena had the most need. And Brinkley and Lee County and Barton, where the others are, they're also in great need. Like the scores here, the schools in Arkansas are graded, the districts are graded A, B, C, D, and F schools. Well, a bunch of our D and F schools are in the area where the Filipinos are. That means they call them the failing schools that need the intensive support. And so, which means the state has pretty much taken over. 2 of the schools have been taken over. Helena is one. And I think Barton has been taken over. Brinkley is not. But I think Lee County, where Abby and Crystal are, I think they've been taken over, which means that the state actually makes a decision for them. It's pretty much taken the power out of the superintendent and school board. They are pretty much like being guided by the state, by the Department of Education. And in some cases, which in Arkansas is not common, but in other states very common, that once a school is an F school, then that means your scores in math, your scores in science, your scores in literacy are very low. Because then they give you 2 or 3 years, and after that it continues to be low and you don't get out of that, then they will take you over. And that's something that you don't ever want to happen, because you lose control. I mean, that's why it takes forever for things to be approved, because they have to go through the Department of Ed. It has to go through that process. Instead of just local, it goes up there to the state level, and that makes it harder to get approved with anything. And so anyway, so that's what it is here. It's they want the students to do well, because it's also a reflection of how you did well in your teaching. And there's an incentive from the state that if you are in the top, like in where my area is in Salem, there are, out of the 15 co-ops, the North Central, I'm in the North Central, close to Missouri, we are number 1 in the state. This whole co-op, 22 schools are doing so well. They are number 1 in the state. So when you rank like the top 10 in the state, Salem is in the top 10. And we are so little. It's a very small school, but they just have, I guess, better teachers. I don't know, but better system somehow. But because they've always been, when I was teaching there, we were top 3. One time we were top 5. And then they would have the top 10 schools to have 3 or 4 people that could go to the governor's mansion, and they have a big banquet for us. And my sister and I taught at that school, so we were invited to come, because one time they filmed in my classroom, they filmed me teaching, whatever, because then they showed it in the big screen at the governor's mansion. And then another year they did it in my sister's classroom. So of course you're filmed, so they invite you to come. And so it was kind of neat to see. And then you see the other schools that are also there. And so so it's really like a motivation thing. So now they actually give you money, like for so much score that you're reaching. And it's not just the high score, but it's the growth. It's a growth model. Like so many of your students grow from this one to that one, they have the formula down, then they give you so many $1,000s. So a lot of these really good schools that have good scores get like $1,000 extra, $2,000 extra, $4,000 extra money for all the teachers, because they gave, they were getting that extra money and they pass it down to the teachers. Some administrators will not give it to the teachers, like not much, because they will spend it on other things. But most of the schools, it's a good incentive for teachers to do well, because if everybody does well, then we can get a prize. It's that reward thing. And so, but of course, at the same time, you don't want to encourage teachers to cheat either. In Georgia, there was this big cheating incident that oh my gosh, a lot of the administrators and a lot of the teachers got fired because they were like dictating answers to students. They were erasing things, answers to the right, to the wrong to the right, and those are catchable because the computer will analyze the erasures. So if you have all these erasures, a bunch of students have erasures, and they would analyze that, and they will just see a very big amount of percentage of erasures, which is not normal. So above normal. And so, or students that were so awful last year, and then they become like, 90% this year. That's kind of like, did you have a new brain? A student did not have a new brain. So something is up. And so anyway, so they have all kinds of things that they did, this particular school. I wish I remember the name, but it was all on TV, and then they lost their license. So if you cheat on this test, that's a really big deal. You could lose your teaching license. And so I like schools that would do like a proctor. So they have a proctor, like for example, the only tested areas are reading, science, and literacy, science, and math. So if you're a social studies teacher, you don't really have a your subject is not tested, so you get to proctor. So your other teachers that are not a tested area, you get to proctor the other classroom. Like I was always teaching something that was testable. So math, or I was math, I was science, I was literacy. So I always had a proctor in my classroom, and I love that because nobody could ever say, "Oh, she cheated," because there's a proctor there, and they could see that I'm not cheating, all that. And it's things like some cheating also they found was like when they're reading the question, and then when it's the right answer, they would use a different tone. So the students will get, "Oh, that's the answer." That's cheating, right? And so anyway, so things like that, and or they're not supposed to look at the test at all. Like you don't look, it's very, very safe. Like the guidance counselor would have this very private, secure test. And the only time that you open it was when you open it. And then once you get done for that day, it's usually a 3-day test. So when you get done at the end of the day, the counselor would pick it up again, make sure she counts that's how many, and then she takes it to her office, lock it, and then the next day she would give it back to the students, and teachers should not even touch it. Like you should not be looking at what else are going to be tested. No, that's cheating too. So what, it's now out of your hands as a teacher that this student will be taking this test 3 days, 3 days, usually either March or April at the end of the year. And so you do not look at it, because some teachers would be like looking at it and then teaching it real quick, whatever, so that they will know it for the next day. Oh, that's cheating. Okay. So anyway, so different things like that were caught, and it's amazing how the technology now is helping catch those things, because they already have numbers that, a normal erasures would be this many percent. And if you're cheating, then it's going to be, more than that. What's going on in April's face right here? April, did you do that? or is that mine? Okay, so anyhow, do you have any questions about testing? Can you please compare it to the testing you do in the Philippines? Because I really do not know. I don't remember when I was a student there.
Doc,
Hi,
good
Mike, what
evening.
happened to you? You're
Good
late,
morning.
man. I was
I'm so
looking for
sorry,
you.
ma'am.
Mike is late.
Yeah, I'm busy doing the review for the TOEFL and
Oh,
the TOEFL,
okay.
Yes.
the review.
That's
Yeah,
your story, and you're
yeah,
gonna
the
stick.
reviewer that the reviewer that I found in the internet is timed. That's why I cannot cut
Okay.
the
Gotcha.
so that that's why I'm assuming that it's a real test. So it's very hard, Doc.
It's fine.
And
Oh, it's really hard. You
yeah,
think
some
it's
of the
hard?
teachers, yeah, Doc, it's very
Which part
and
did you find hard?
um the what we call this
Reading?
the speaking because not only because I'm not pertaining about how I'm going to speak, but it is a combination of reading and also listening. That's
Yeah.
why it's very hard. You need to do it simultaneously. You're reading while you are writing,
Yeah.
and then it is time pressure, Doc.
Yeah.
Really, it's a time
But
pressure.
yeah, because you have you can take notes really quick, right? You can, so whenever you
Yes,
speak,
Doc.
then
That's
you
Doc.
have some kind of keywords
And
there.
yeah, you don't know which area are you going to focus.
Yeah. Well, just
Very
remember, Mike, that if it is a nonfiction, you need to just kind of know the gist of it, you know, the skim and scan type thing.
Yes,
But
yes.
then if you are if it's a fiction, then you need to think about the the elements of the story. Who's the character? What's the setting?
Yes, yes.
What's the problem? How did they solve the problem? How did it end? Those are the 5 things that you just need
Yes.
to remember. So whenever you're skimming and
And
scanning, look for those 5 things.
yes, yes, yes. And in the reading, ma'am, the text is very long, and
Long.
also the questions are
Yes.
very long also.
Did you read the
It's a
question
time
first?
pressure.
Did you read the question
Yes, I
first?
need to read you need to skim the passage, and then after that you need to read the passage again in each question, and some of the questions are very confusing. It's very tricky.
Yeah, they're tricky.
Questions are tricky.
Yep,
Yeah,
they're tricky. That's
think
right.
I need, I think, 2 months, 3 months preparation for this.
Really? Well, you have time. It sounds like a bunch of the
Yes,
teachers
yes,
that
ma'am.
are here are taking it during Thanksgiving, which is about 3rd week of November. So they're taking it during their break because we have a 1-week break. And so they're planning on taking it that week. So they've been practicing
Yes,
also.
yes.
For the
Doc,
reading
and
though, go
additionally,
ahead.
Doc Elvin, I think Doc Elvin not able to join because they are also experiencing flood there in Mindanao because of the typhoon.
Yeah,
And in the groups, I think some of them are also sending message that they cannot able to join
okay. Well,
because
that's
of the
fine because
internet connection, the problem.
yeah. So I'm just gonna send the recording of this and plus the last week because I totally forgot about it. I was busy, I was traveling. And so then when we got back, then my husband and I were doing other things. So it's a really busy time around this time of the year. But anyway, so Mike, back to TOEFL. You know, you just need to determine, is this a nonfiction? Is this a real story? If it is a real story, your strategy should be read every sentence. I mean, like, read every first sentence of every paragraph and the end. The first and the last will tell you the whole story, the whole gist of that
Yes.
paragraph. So the nonfiction, although long, should be easy for you because all you have to do is read a question first. Now you know, and then now you can look at the first and the last question, the last statement, and then that way you'll know where the answers would be, because that's what it is with nonfiction, first and last. Okay, so that will
Yes,
save you
yes.
a lot of time. Do not try to read every word on a nonfiction. You are wasting time. You're not
Yes,
going to get
Doc.
finished. Okay,
Correct.
so yeah, and so for the fiction, just
It's
kind of see.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's all about news, architecture, history, science, like that
those are
in
nonfiction.
the reading.
Yeah, those are nonfiction,
Yes.
which means you can skim and scan on those. Okay, so
Yeah.
read the question first, and then read the first and last of each paragraph. That's kind of
And then in the
Go ahead.
yes. And then in the listening section, yeah, that's what I mentioned a while ago. You need to write multitasking.
Yeah.
Unlike in IELTS, ma'am, unlike in IELTS, the question is already on the screen while you are listening. But in TOEFL, you need to listen first, and then you afterwards you will answer those questions. And one more thing about that is you cannot return to the questions
Yeah. So
after
you
you
have to,
answered it. Unlike in the reading section, what techniques or tips I learned is that I need to answer those questions that is easier for me. For example, the vocabulary, that is the
Mhm.
first thing you need
Mhm.
to answer first, and then
Mhm.
after that you answer the questions that are um
Comprehension.
next to the easiest one. And that
Mhm.
that is the technique that I
Yeah,
learned.
yeah. Just with that technique, just make sure you go back and make sure you did not skip anything, because sometimes
Yes,
you know you
yes.
you're yeah, your brain might forget that, oh, I have some other ones I need to go back. So anyhow,
Yeah.
so yeah, I wish you the best on that. And if you pass that TOEFL before coming here, that's one big thing you don't have to do. The men, all the men that came here, all the and Helena, the two Montenegros, Ernesto and Edwin passed it already. Um, um, and
Wow.
then Dr. Penida. So before they came to the US, they already passed it. So that is a really one good thing to do, that if you know that you already are coming, like Mike already knows, and then three others, April, Dina, and who's the other, Johnson, then they need to go ahead and take it. And also it costs about 206, close to $300 to take. So keep your receipt, and then that Miss Mills will get you reimbursed. Okay, they'll only
Yes.
reimburse one. So if you have to retake it, sorry. They reimburse one one time.
Yeah, I think we have only 3 schedules here: November 5, November 12, and December 10
Okay.
here in
So
Qatar.
hopefully you
Yeah.
only have to worry about one time, right? Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Maria was talking. Maria is one of those that passed it the first time and really did well. And so she told me those strategies that she said she would just read the question first, and she would do skim scanning, and then she said that the hardest for her was reading also, because she felt like she was running out of time, because it felt like she's not given enough time, and you still have so many to read. I don't know how many stories were they putting there, Mike, on the practice. How many did you have to read?
Same as in the actual examination, 30,
30.
30, 30 examinations. Yeah, 30 in listening and 30 in reading.
Right,
But
but
in speaking and writing, they are asking to send the answer, and then hopefully they will evaluate it and send it back to me so that I can see the
yeah.
weakness and the strength of my answers.
Yeah, well, so there are 4 areas at 30. So that's 120, that's 120
Yes,
possible. And you only have to get 76. In Arkansas, you only
Yes,
have to get 76 to pass. So hopefully you're allowed about 40, 44. You can miss 44 and still make it. Okay. So don't put that pressure on yourself, because if you really
Yes.
are better on one area, you may have close to 30 on that one, then you can miss some in the reading and still be okay number wise at the end. Yeah. So anyway, so I hope you do well. I think your English is very fluent. You don't have to worry about that. So if I were you, I would make a note on key words. Like when you do the question, do not worry about the small words, just put the key words. That way you'll know how to answer
Yeah.
it. Okay, keywords.
Yes, Doc. Actually, I have here a lot of papers.
Yeah, and they will take that away from you in the real test. They do not want
Yes.
anybody.
Oh,
Yeah, they don't
yes.
want anybody taking any papers outside. So they will ask you to turn it in at the end. So yeah.
Yes.
And so I remember those days when you were you're tested. I remembered when I first came here in 87, and I wanted to go to school. I had 2.5 years already in San Jose, Recoletos, in Cebu, USJR, and as a pre-law student. And I thought I was gonna have to take all these tests, all this entrance exam and so on. And they waive that if you have more than 60 hours, 60 credits. I had 88. And so so I didn't have to take any of those tests. So when my own kids took the test, that's how I knew about the test. In this, I think I said this an example before, that their entrance test here is 36. The ACT is 36, is the highest. And I didn't know that at that time when Stephanie called me and said, Mom, I got a 35 on my ACT. And I said, out of 100 and you're happy about it? I said, no, Mom, it's out of 36. And I said, oh my gosh, Stephanie, you did so well, you know. And then Jet did the same. Jet had 35 also out of 36. And so I had to brag on them because that also helped us as parents because we didn't have to pay for their college at all, not a single dime. They paid for their housing, you know, for the apartment, for their food, for their books, they even gave them like $2,000 a semester for miscellaneous. So they pretty much paid our kids to go to college. Yeah. And so they're smarter than their mother who did a student loan. I did student loan, it took me forever to pay. Don't ever do student loans. But anyhow, so yeah, those are things that you have to go through when you do, when you come here is the TOEFL. And I don't think, Layla, I don't think they would want you to do that, would they? Are they asking you to do that in the university level?
No, ma'am, they are not asking about the TOEFL, and they do not want me to have also an overtime because my class will start at exactly 7:30 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Wow. And you'll be done and be free. They say that, but then you take home things to grade anyway. If you're like me, I'm like, I want things graded. Like some of those teachers, you know, and this is a lesson for everyone, not just in here, but also there, that when you give a test, give them immediate feedback. You know, what I do in my classroom is, for example, in math, they're answering it. And I tell my students this, that this is what I do. While they're answering, I go around the room and start putting, you know, gel pen. They love just gel pen, different colors, purple, whatever, you know. And so I would use this gel pen and I would put a star if it's correct. I put a star over there and it motivates the student. Oh, I'm on the right track. So I just go in my room. I'm just putting stars when they get done. So by the time they got done, I might have 1 or 2 things to grade. And then so when they turn it into me, boom, I just like grade it real quick. And then that's immediate feedback. Because while I was doing my monitoring the students, making sure they are working, I'm actually giving them feedback with my stars. Or I put heart, like elementary, they love that little heart thing. And I put that little line, like a beating heart. And they love that. They say, I want my heart, I want my heart. Anyway, so do things like that on literacy, on essay, on reading. If you're a reading teacher and you assign them essay, I would give myself like either the next time I go, or it depends on the number of students I have, or 2 meetings from now, like skip a meeting. I don't have it yet, but then the next time we meet, you will have it. Because if you do not give feedback to students, immediate feedback, then they already forgot what it was, you know, so it doesn't even mean anything now, but they are anxious to hear. And some schools are actually requiring that, you know, you have to give, you know, only within 2 days, you need to give the feedback to students. And some schools that are not requiring that, some of the teachers are slacking and they're not there, you know, they may be, because this is one of my questions I ask when I do my accreditation visit at schools. I ask them like, how soon is your feedback given to students? When you have homework or anything, how soon do students know the grades or your feedback? And some of them are in a week, 2 weeks. Oh my gosh, I just want to die when I hear that kind of answer, you know, that especially 2 weeks, you know, and students would tell you, because whenever we interview the students, the parents, the teachers, the principal, everybody, to the highest, the school board members. We interview everybody and we try to see which answers aligned. Like the teachers might say, oh yeah, we give immediate feedback. And then the students, when you interview them, oh, we don't ever know. Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks later we'll know. But the teachers are not very quick at giving their feedback, because you ask them the same question and the answer will be different. They get caught. They cannot just be lying to us, you know. And then the parents, we ask the parents, how soon are your students, do you know your students the grades on any test or any, you know, any task that's given to them? The teachers would know. Well, we have complained about this because, you know, by the time we know that our student was struggling, our child is struggling, it's too late to make it up because the teacher did not give immediate feedback. So immediate feedback is one of the best things that you can do. Is right now with the technology where they turn in Google. When the last time I was teaching, and I was actually pretty much subbing for an 11th grade reading teacher, literacy teacher, because she had cancer. This teacher did not go back to work. And at the middle of the year, I was over there, and they said, Merlina, we can really use a literacy teacher, and I know you are one. And we had to send a letter to the parents saying that, you know, the substitute did not have her literacy degree. And so now we can send a letter saying that you are one if you teach this class for us. And so I love it because I have been out of the education, like in the classroom, you know, for years. And then I came back and actually taught. And this was less than 10 years ago. And so I actually taught and got to see how the Google Classroom works and how, you know, the pretty much paperless classroom, because everything was turned into me through Google. And so we had a Chromebook set, the whole cart in my classroom. And so I number them. And this is one thing you could do whenever you come here. Most of the classrooms will have like a Google, like a cart full of technology devices. And I always gave my students numbers. You know, I always alphabetize their names. So they, you know, that's the number that goes on the order by ABC order, that's their number. And so I put the little sticker, and they put, for example, if I have 5 classes, then there will be number 1, who are number 1 in each class would be in that, would have that Chromebook. And that's kind of accountability. So if somebody messed up, then there's only those number 1s are the ones that I'm going to be asking, you know. And because if you don't put any names or whatever on those devices that are in your classroom, that things will just go bad, and they did not take care of it and so on, because the teacher will not know, you know. But if you have a number on it, then they know, oh my gosh, my teacher will know. My teacher will find out that it's, you know, that it must have been me. Because I do check it when they leave, they come in, and it's going to be before they leave. I leave 5 minutes, you know, before before the bell rings, that I need to give them time to plug it in order for it to always be charging, so that the next class come in and they, you know, it's charging some. But anyhow, so that's what we did. And then presentation wise, they would email it to me. For example, they have a PowerPoint on their reading the book report, you know, and I have these requirements that I want, and then they would just put it on Google Slide, and then they would share it with me. And then I have them to like put their names, because I want you to put your name there on we can only do about 4 or 5 this time, because, you know, the time. So I want the first 5 people that would put their names on the board for the order of our presentation gets it. That was smooth. You know, if I have Mike there saying he's number 1, then okay, class, you know, we are ready to go. Okay, now Mike, you said you're gonna go first, go. And then I just have my computer already there, and since it's been shared with me, so they don't have to bring their computers, just right there with mine. They just like scroll there, find their presentation, and we'll start presenting. And so then when Mike is done, I have the students to make a comment. I do a comment first. You know, I really like the way that you did, like, you know, when you said it's a 4-star report, and then you tell the reason why it's 4 stars. I love that you said this. You know, I would do a comment specific to the presentation, and I would model that. So I would do like a glow, a grow, and a glow, and said, well, you might want to improve on this. Looks like you did not write much about this, whatever, you know. And then I would do another glow, and then I would ask a student to, like, because the whole time when they are watching, I give them a piece of paper, and they're actually taking notes of Mike's presentation, because I'm going to pick that up, or they're going to give that to Mike, their comments. So they're going to say, oh, I like this or whatever. And then I ask them to share what they wrote. Okay, to share what they wrote. And then, so it's kind of validating as a presenter that somebody actually paid attention to you and said this. And then I pick up all the papers, and they put Mike on top, for example. And then I'd pick up all those papers, and then I put it on my desk because it has a name on it. I do not give it to them yet, because you know what they'll do? Well, the next, that's number 2, if it's Giselle doing it, nobody's going to pay attention to Giselle, because Mike's going to be too busy reading about the comments of the classmates, right? You're going to lose them. So I would put it there. And then at the end of the period, when the 5 have presented, I give them the paper. And then it's like a little Christmas time. I even would roll it and put a bow on it. You know, it's like, here's your present. But anyway, so that is the comment. And I think this is applicable for any subject you teach. If you have the students do a research and they're presenting it, and you have that's called an active audience participation. You have them to write notes or whatever, and you have them to ask questions to the presenter if they have, and a comment. You know, oh, your decoration is so nice. You're so creative. I like that you drew the character, you drew the scene, or whatever it is that they did, you know, that they really are amazed at. And it's really cool because I've read some of the things that they put, and they're so, by the time a presenter has read it, it pretty much covered a lot of the things that I would have commented. You know, somebody noticed it. Somebody noticed that the font is really nice and big, and some, you know, the background or whatever it is that they noticed, they wrote it down. And it's so validating for someone that, oh, I did a lot of work on this, and my classmates noticed these things. And they come home and bring those things. And I know even though they're 11th graders or 8th graders, they were acting so cool about it, like it's no big deal. I don't. Oh, they tell their parents excitedly, because I knew that from parent-teacher conference. They said, oh, you know, my child came home with all these papers, and we read them, and so on. And that was really nice. You know, it's validating. I mean, we can validate people in whatever ages they are, including high school. Okay, and Leila, including college. I did that when I was teaching college. I did that. Every time we do a presentation, I always give them, I said, okay, get your piece of paper, because you're gonna put your feedback to the presenter. Okay, and so anyway, but that's really good, because otherwise you're gonna have people sleeping while somebody's presenting, and somebody worked so hard on that project, and the audience was not paying attention. That's kind of hurt your feelings, right? That's not gonna happen if you have an active audience participation, because I require it that everybody has to have something written there, you know, because you're struggling learners, you know. I would say you can do like keywords. You don't have to write the whole sentence, but the others that are, you know, regular learners, I said, I expect you to write complete sentences, because I want you to, you know, it's kind of a practice of their writing too. But for my struggling learners, my special ed, all that, I would tell them, just write the keywords, you know, a big word that you're going to say to him or her. And then, and so that's kind of how I modify that. But the presenter still knew what the special ed wants to say. So anyway, and so then I have them to do thumbs up, you know, you need to do, and this is what's missing a lot. When I observe classrooms, I miss a lot of the formative evaluation, which is like the things that you do to know if your students got it or not. So I want you to thumbs up if you got it. And if you did not, you need to thumbs down. If you're still confused, you need to do thumbs sideways. Okay, thumbs sideways. If you see a lot of thumbs sideways, that means, oh, they didn't get it. I need to reteach this, because they didn't get it. Mike, can you help me look at the chat, please, and tell us if there's something I need to answer. So anyway, so how do you do your formative evaluation in your classroom? How do you know if your students, like, do you pause during your class and then stop and say, okay, class, did you get this? Let me know. Sometimes I would do things like, I want you to touch, and this is brain research, if they cross their hand over the body. So I want you to touch your left ear with your right hand if you got it. Okay, everybody set up, and I see some people sleeping. Okay, I want you to act like rabbits, hop like rabbits if you got it. And so they would elementary like that, but high school did not like it. But anyway, so anyway, but you can just, you know, have them to anytime that you have them crossing their hand over their body, that's gonna be, brain research is saying that wakes them up, you see? So that's a brain gym things that you can do. Okay, kick your right foot. Everybody get up and kick your right foot if you got it. If you're still confused, kick your left foot. Okay, and if you really do not have any clue, just jump. And so anyway, but I could see that they are participating, and I don't have to ask them one by one, but because I see their movements, you know, those are the movements that I want to say, oh, a lot of left jumping there, so left kick, so they didn't get this. Okay, and another formative way, which is really simple, is you have those little, you know, those plastic cups that's colored, you know, those colored plastic cups, and you have the green, and you have a yellow, and then you have pink. You know, it's like the traffic colors, and I would have them to put it, like, to stack them. So if I have 3 cups like stacked together, and I would see that it's green outside, that means they got it. So if they're confused, they'll just switch they put the yellow on top, and so on their desk. So all I have to do is look. And of course, when you're teaching, you should be looking, you know. And so I see, oh, somebody's green. So oh, somebody's yellow. So I need to know that, you know. So then I would stop and say, hey, so and so, do you, Layla, do you have a question for me? What are you confused on? But see, that's very formative. Well, in the middle of my lesson, the student told me that, oh, I'm confused on this part right here. If you're just clueless about it and you really want to know more, then you put the red up or pink up, you know, and that's how I know. And so anyway, so different ways like that, because if you're a teacher that would just like rattle on and start teaching and did not even look at the students, did not even know that some students are already playing with their, you know, and this is a problem in America, playing with their cell phone, you know, and then you're not even aware that there are 5, you know, I'm here observing in the back. I would see 5 students that were playing with their, you know, devices or, you know, texting somebody or whatever. But if you do what I did, what I suggested about formative evaluation, where they know that you're going to be asking them to do something in order for the teacher to know your understanding, you're not going to do it. You're going to say, oh, I get caught. You know, and here in America too, in the summer, in the winter time, they're wearing jackets, right? They can text without looking. So I would say you would put their hand in their jacket and they would be texting the whole time without looking. So I would say, okay, hands on your desk. I want to see those hands, because when they're texting, they're not paying attention to you, you know. And so anyway, there's so many, every school has their own technology plan. And the technology plan includes your policy, your technology policy. Some schools are more open to it. They would say, okay, it's okay to bring your phone, but it needs to be on off, or it needs to be silent. And it cannot be, you know, you cannot be using it during class, because some teachers would actually use it. I've done it, where you actually use it in class. You play Kahoot that it, you know, if you do some Kahoot games and they take their phone and they just type the code that's on the board that you would show, and then they would answer the question for you, and it ranks it for you. So if you've not tried Kahoot that it, instead of Kahoot.com, is Kahoot that it, you might want to do that. There's already a lot of questions in there that you can modify or use or whatever. And anyway, so I have my students use their phone for that. So I would say the meeting before, I would say next week, next meeting, I want you to bring your phones, because we're going to do some Kahoot and poll everywhere. Poll everywhere, POLL everywhere, is like survey. It's like you asking the participant, your students, to answer certain question, and then you see that. And the other one is CELLO, Cello, I think, cello.com. And it is also, you're also asking the audience or the students to put a comment on questions that you do. I have a list of them somewhere. I need to find those. Kahoot and others. I'm gonna put a list on it, and maybe I'll post that on the Facebook group. But anyway, so has any of you used the technology in your classroom that way, where you actually have them to use the phone or whatever?
Doc, just to share. Doc, hello po.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, Doc, I frequently use that because you know that my subject is computer. I'm teaching IT. That's the reason why I don't need to ask my students to bring their phone, because they are using their computer.
Right.
And the students enjoys that. And every time we have a class, they are always asking, Mr. Mike, when are we going to play Kahoot?
Yeah.
They are always asking that because they enjoys it.
Yeah.
And that is one of my evaluation, mostly at the end of the week.
Very
because
good.
yeah, before I have for I think three times, and on my last school I have only two days to teach that. So I'm always explaining to them, okay, during the first meeting, that is a lecture, and on the second day it will be an evaluation. And during the second day of the second session, they are always expecting, or they expecting to have the out game. And if it happens that I did not have that Kahoot, they are always asking, Mister, why we don't have Kahoot today? You said that during every second meeting we have that. We are always preparing for that, and that is also applicable. Yeah, you as you mentioned during the pandemic, the online classes, and some of my students are complaining, Mister, why the first batch is always playing Kahoot? Why us in online classes did not play Kahoot? Like they are always asking that
Yeah,
because they
because they
are
like that. Yeah, they
engaged.
love games. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. What other ones have you used? I know there's quizzes, QUIZIZZ or something like that.
Yes, no,
Quizzes.
yes.
You
It's
use that.
quiz because
Quizlet.
in IT I'm
Quizlet is
using
another.
the do you call this iType? Is it iType or that is like a typing activity
Okay,
wherein the
itype.com
students
maybe.
can play. Yeah, I will
Post it.
send share that also in the
Okay, if
group
you don't
because I
mind,
have
Mike, the
all
apps
of
that
them
you
account.
use because you're a technology person, can you please post some? And what I want Anchi to do is put the link, and sometimes I would even like like do a screenshot of what the logo is, whatever. And so if you don't mind to do that, because I think it's so powerful. Games,
Yes, ma'am.
humor, those are so powerful in the classroom. So anytime you use games, even the students that are like normally misbehaving, they are so involved in it. That's one way that you could, and some teachers are actually using it as a reward. Like, okay, if you whatever, no problem. So then tomorrow we're gonna do Kahoot as a start of a day, as a do now. We're gonna do Kahoot about this subject. Of course, you cannot just do a Kahoot on another topic. In order for the brain to remember, you have to connect it to whatever you're doing. So if you're doing parts of speech, then your Kahoot will be about parts of speech. And if you go to the Kahoot, main their home, there's a list of the different Kahoots that people in the world have made that you can either use or adapt, change, whatever. And so I think I've done some in there. But anyhow, because even when I do professional development and I do Kahoot, I would put it there and I have the teachers play it, play with it, because you want the teachers to also do that in your classroom, right? So anyway, so what did Sir Elvin just PM me po, they're not affected by tropical storm. Okay, you said that to me. Permission to leave the meeting, Ma'am Merlina, Abigail. What are the things we need to bring with us? Okay, so Abby is one of those coming with me. So she's trying to say, I didn't even know she was there. I just like, but anyhow, so can anybody share if you have used any of these apps? Leslie, welcome, Leslie. Okay, I'm gonna ask you, Leslie, in a few minutes to share something, okay? Give you a
Yes.
warning. Yeah. Hazel May, are you new? I've not remembered seeing you, have I? Do you mind showing your beautiful face?
Yes, ma'am. She's new.
Okay, I would love to welcome you. I think the others are regular, so I noticed their name. So if you don't mind to tell us who you are.
Hello po, ma'am. Good
You're
evening.
new.
Yeah,
Tell us
I'm
about-
new. Yeah, I'm Hazel Lazaro from Oriental Mindoro.
Okay. And who gave you our information?
From Ma'am Laila.
Oh, Miss Laila, thank you so much for. She's not even Layla or Laila?
Layla.
Okay.
Layla. From
Layla.
from-
Okay. Thank you for doing that. And so Hazel, when you come in here, I don't know if Miss Layla had warned you. I always ask you to do a 1 to 2 minute elevator speech about yourself. And the one thing I want to, because that's what they do in the interview. Okay. And once you send your resume and cover letter to me, to McCulloughMerlina@gmail.com. You can look at the spelling under my name there. Anyway, so last name, first name @gmail. Once you have done that, then your name will be on my list, and this list is accessed by the administrators in Arkansas and surrounding states. And there's about 1,500 administrators in Arkansas that has it. So you want to be included in it, right? And so anyway, when you get an interview, they'll ask you the interview. And so you need to make sure you're ready with that 1 2 minute or 2 to 3 minute speech about yourself, which includes your education, number of experience, what you're teaching now. Why do you want to come to the US? And why did you go into education in general? Those 5 things, if you include those will make a good 2 to 3 minute speech for yourself. If you practice it, so you write it down and you practice it in front of a mirror, in front of some, folks in your house, then you'll be very fluent when they ask you that, because that's usually the first question. They will introduce themselves and then they ask you about you. Tell us about yourself. And then that's what you need to be ready, right? You don't have to tell them your age. Don't tell them how many kids you have. Don't tell them personal things unless they ask you later, and that's fine. But they're not supposed to ask you anyway. Those are illegal questions. Okay. But if you get used, like Layla's been going back and forth with her boss in Vanderbilt. Well, if she asks her that, that's totally fine, but during the interview, they're not supposed to ask you those personal questions, because they're not supposed to discriminate you based on what you share as a personal information. Okay. So, and also your background, very important. What did I say about background, everybody? Leslie's, if you look at Leslie's background, that's perfect. And of course, if you have background like ours, that's fine. But in the interview, if you have the background that's plain, like Leslie, if you look at Leslie Caboynes' background, that is really plain, it's nice. Or you can do a virtual one like I'm using. And it's supposed to be for that. I think Marissa, you also have a nice background. I like that. Giselle. So everyone here, yeah, nice background. And so so Hazel, make sure that if you're gonna use your background, make sure that you do have like either, some people have actually hung up a curtain or something. You just to cover your background thing there. Find a wall that's empty or whatever, because a lot of times the people interviewing you will be looking at your background instead of listening to you, to your answer. They're kind of distracted. You don't want your interviewers to be distracted by your busy background. Okay, you don't want to have a busy background and a background that would clash with what you're wearing. It's not vanity. It's just that you want to, you don't want to be camouflaging with your background, and it's kind of different. But anyhow, those are just simple things. So tell me more, Hazel, about yourself, if you don't mind.
Okay. So again, I'm Hazel May Lazaro from Oriental, and currently teaching in Emerald Academy in Cavite. In AM, I'm teaching grade 1 students, general subjects, and also from PM, and in PM, I'm teaching kinder. And graduated, by the way, in my education is very complicated because I graduated from Baptist Bible Seminary and Institute, major in Christian education. I am a PRC holder in major in values. But right now, I am teaching in kinder and grade school. But I have a degree in, I have units in ECE. And also, I'm about to finish my MAED this coming March. So I'm a little bit confused which one should I pursue, because I've heard the R1 visa, the religious visa that offers there, but I'm really interested in applying in J1 or the H1. But I think I do have a lot of they told me I could able to apply in J1, H1 or R1, but still I still want to teach kids because this is my job.
Right.
I mean, so from the previous school, I'm teaching in Christian Education Development School in Calamba, Laguna, since 2015 until 2019. And 2019 June until now, I am teaching in Emerald Academy.
Okay, so what they do here in the US is that your license has to match your experience. So if you're licensed in the religion, you need to try to get experiences on that, at least 3 years of that. Okay, and if you have don't use the word ECE. I don't even understand what ECE is, because do not use those acronyms because they don't know what it is. So anytime you use it, just pretend like we don't know it. So you have to tell us what it is. So what's ECE? What's ECE?
early childhood education.
Okay, they won't know that. See, I didn't know that. I'm an early childhood, elementary, and high school major. And so anyway, so yeah, ECE would be, yeah, elementary. You need to say also maybe that in the Philippines, we actually have AM sessions and PM sessions, and teachers might be teaching different grades, you know, could be assigned different grades. So in the morning, and then you explain it, because they're going to be having this confused look like, what? AM, PM, what? You know, because that doesn't happen here. It is not, doesn't happen here. You teach the same thing all day long, you know, and nobody is just half a day. Everybody's whole day. Yeah. And so anyway, so what is a MAED? I know what it is, but
Master's in Education.
okay. You might want to, make sure you do that, a MAED or Master's Education. You know, just say that, because they will, that would just be, that if you do not say that already, that would just be an extra question for you, and that will eat up your time. They may give you 5 to 10 minutes. And if they have so many things that you said that they have to clarify, that eats up your time. They won't be able to ask you too many questions, okay? And so anyway, and I love your background now. Thank you. Good job. And yeah, so if you're asking about the licensure part, R1, if you are a religion teacher, your R1 would be a good one, because there are not very many R1, you know, applications. J1 has 65,000 limit, and there's 20,000 more for people with masters and above. So you will be under that, to be 85,000 for those that with masters and above. And do not use the word units, because they don't know what units are. You need to say hours. So if you have, like, I had 88 hours instead of 88 units, because they don't know what we don't use units here, we use hours. Okay, so every subject is a 3-hour class, 3-hour course. So instead of a 3-unit course, it's a 3-hour course. And so if I have how many hours of MAED do you have, of masters do you have already?
Actually, I've done in CAR. I'm about to finish. I'm about to graduate this coming February.
Okay, so instead of saying the hours, you just say that I'm about to graduate in January, February, or whatever. You tell them that, because I'm anticipating graduation. I mean, anticipated graduation is, semester 1 in 2023, whatever, because they don't know the hours. The hours here are so different. Like on a master's degree here for education, it's very common to just have 10 courses, which is really 30 units or 30 hours. And then some of them would have 36. That's a very common thing, 30 or 36. What is it in hours? Which means 10 to 12 courses. How many in hours there is the, to get your master's, how many classes do you have to take?
In a week, we are 8 hours.
No. How many courses, how many subjects do you have to
36, 48.
Whoa, 16 classes. Okay, that's a lot. That's here, that would be like library media, like librarian would do 48. But a lot of times our coaches here, academic, but that, like athletic coaches, they only want 30 hours. They don't want the 36. So they take social studies as a minor or as a major for the master's, because social studies only has 30 and everything else is 36. And so a bunch of our coaches are like teaching social studies, because that's saving them, a semester, 2 classes, to 6 hours, 6 units. And so anyway, okay. So you did well. Why did you want to come to the US?
Because I want to share, I want to teach kids, I want to share our culture that we have here in the Philippines, and of course, extend the horizon.
Okay, extend the horizon will not mean anything. Explain what extend is. Do you mean that you broaden your perspective? Is that what you meant? You want to broaden your perspective. Yeah, you might want to use broaden your perspective instead of extend the horizon. When you said extend the horizon, it's like, okay, am I drawing something and I'm extending the horizon? So it doesn't mean anything here. So broaden your perspective. You can say broaden your cultural perspectives, or you could say, I want to, while I'm also teaching students about the Philippine culture, I also would like to learn about the American culture. So it's an intercultural exchange. So you can say something like that, you know. And but why did you get into education? How come you picked education instead of any other degrees?
Because my mom is a frustrated teacher and I wanted to pursue her dreams. And
Her what?
but
What kind of teacher?
she is a frustrated teacher.
What's a prostrated? I don't. That's not either. That doesn't mean anything here either.
Because she haven't she's graduated in education but haven't teach in a classroom settings.
So that's called frustrated.
Yeah.
Okay.
I always thought that she's frustrated and she is a frustrated teacher.
Okay. So she is. Instead of using the word frustrated though, because it really doesn't mean anything, you say she finished her teaching degree but never got the opportunity to teach. You might want to say something like that, you know, because like things that are common here, like for example, ABD, all but dissertation. So we have a lot of people getting they're trying to get their doctorate degree, but they never could get finished with a dissertation. So that's called ABD. That's common here. But other than that, they don't have those things. So frustrated, when you saw me when I like frustrated teacher, why is she frustrated? You know, and especially that you didn't really say frustrated, you say prostrated, and I'm like, you know, so that's okay. Yeah, frustrated, but I would not use that word just because it's just not something that's used here. And I think that's one of the things that I'm able to help you guys is because I've been in America 35 years. I had my education here in America. So I got my education at Arkansas State University and I'm teaching for them now. And so, you know, so I kind of hear those things and I hope you don't take it, you know, like badly that I'm correcting you, but that is a positive, you know, you have growth mindset if you just take it and learn from it. And I'm not trying, just don't ever take it like wrongly, like I'm putting you down or insulting you. That's never my intention. Okay, it's always about the positive and helping. Okay, thank you so much for attending, and I hope that you learned something today from our session. What did you learn so far? Did you learn one thing?
I'm so sorry.
You just joined?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just.
That's fine. What I do is it's recorded, and so I will be sending everybody. So make sure that you email me so you'll be included in the distribution list. I send a copy to everyone. I owe everyone last week's and then this week's because it's still on my computer. It's not been I have not done it yet. So yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. And now I'm gonna go, welcome again. I'm gonna go to Leslie because I think Leslie had some things she wants to share. Leslie, everyone, for those that are not familiar, is one of the ones that just arrived here this year that I helped, you know, bring. And she's one of my favorites. I think I'm very biased to her and her aunt. I have to admit that. She comes to my house. She's coming to my house today. And the rest. Okay, Leslie, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Good morning from here. Good evening in the Philippines. Yeah, Dr. Merlina has helped me, you know, since the very beginning. So prior to my interview, during my interview, during the processing of my, you know, papers, and now she's helping me, you know, teaching me how to teach my kids, basically.
I observed her last week.
Yeah, my kids were like asking me last week, like, no, the day after you were there, they were like, what was she doing in here? And I was like, oh, she was teaching me how to teach you guys. And they were like, oh, really? Yeah, that's what she's doing in our class. But yeah, last week, Dr. Merlina was observing my class. So
amazing.
I did not really like, you know, prepare something special because I want you to observe me, you know, the typical day that I'm having in my classroom, because I just want to know that if I am really on the right track, because it's different in the Philippines. We have a different, you know, setting in here, and I don't know if I'm really like doing a good job. So I did not prepare anything. I just went through that, you know, that's what I'm doing every day in my class, like most of the time, especially yeah.
Very good.
So, well, she really helped me a lot because, yeah, there are things that I need to learn, and I'm so happy because I was really nervous back then, having in my class. I
I'm the
about
least intimidating person in the world.
Yes, you were really the least intimidating person. I was really having a fun time with you, a great time with you, because I can, well, I know I have a lot of things to improve. I have a lot of things to learn, but learning it from you is really like, learning it from you is really like, it makes me feel great that
Oh,
somebody
good.
told me about it, like, because I cannot see it if nobody would tell me. Like, I kept calling one of my students, which is Joshua, and I didn't know anything
She
about
didn't know.
it.
Josh was her
Yeah,
favorite person's name like more than 10 times.
yes, ma'am. And I was not really, I wasn't aware that I kept calling his name. So somebody has to tell me that. And then,
Yeah.
well, I was asking my administrators if they could, come and see me in my class and tell me if I'm really doing well or if I am on the right track. And, well, I think they're busy, or I think they're just watching me,
On the video.
over
Yeah.
the camera. So I think that's why they're not coming in my class, because they can hear me and they can see me. They can see my class. So I don't think
Yeah.
that's why they're not coming in. But when you were there, I was really happy. I told my aunt, Tati Abigail, that you should have her in your class, because I really learned a lot of things. Like, I already, the things that you have told me, I started it already. I have already posted the works of my students in my class.
So a display of
And
student
told
work
them
is
already.
important. Yes.
Display, yeah, I had it in my class, and also I have told them, because special ed students are not really into writing. They don't have that much patience compared to the regular ones. So I told them I did not introduce it immediately. I kept on telling them about it so that their minds will be programmed that next week we will be taking down notes. So I hope you will be ready by that time. But don't worry, all you have to do is to take down notes, keywords.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to write everything, just the keywords, and we'll do that next week. So
Yeah.
I'm programming them so they will not
Yeah.
have a hard time next week.
Yeah.
And then
You can model, you
I
can model that to them, Leslie. You model the first week that you're doing notes. You model, like, in your notes, you
Yes.
should have this. In your notes, you should have this. And then that way they'll know what to do. Yeah. Okay, sorry for interrupting. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, it's really okay. And then, well, what else? Yeah, that was like, you want me to take my students to take down notes, but I was really happy that there are things you let me know my growth, like, and my glows, like, because I was really thinking that I think I'm not really doing well with this class, because I'm an elementary teacher in the Philippines. I teach for like 11 years in elementary, so I was like, I'm teaching 10th, 11th, 12th grades kids, so it's really like new to me. So that's why I really don't think that I'm doing a great job or anything like that. I was
Yes.
like, keep questioning myself if I'm doing it right. And so when you went in there and told me, well, you are doing great, your gradual release of your responsibility is very evident, or yeah, you are doing great. And I was like, oh, thank you very much, because I didn't know that. And the things that you have told me, my growth, it really helped me a lot. I realize that now that I realize that now that there are a lot of things that I need to learn, and I have to have that growth mindset in order for me to improve as a teacher. And I think with you coming in my class every month, I was hoping that you can come like every week.
I go every week in Maria's
Yeah.
in Maria's school. I go every week. Yeah.
Oh wow, that
Yeah.
would be so nice. But
Yeah.
yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Merlina. I couldn't have done it, without your help, because I think I was doing a great job, because I kept on attending your Zoom meetings in the Philippines, back in the Philippines, like every Friday night.
It was Friday.
Yeah, I had
But
like,
Leslie, you're not giving yourself enough credit. You are an amazing teacher, and I don't think that's just
oh,
something that I taught you. You are a natural at it. Like Leslie, I have to brag on her, is one of the best that I have seen on the knowledge of students. Like, she really wants to know her students. Like, she opened with like, how did you do this weekend? And she would comment on it, and just kind of really connecting with the students, instead of like, okay, let's just do it. It's a Monday. Talk about their weekends. You know, it doesn't take but 2 or 3 minutes, but you're connecting to those kids. Oh, I'm important to my teacher because she asked me about my day. She asked me about my weekend, you know, and all that. And so if they had a bad weekend, you know that, oh, this might not be a good Monday for you, especially special ed. But they behave really well. Your classroom is wonderful. The classroom is amazing. You'll have to post some, you have to post a picture of your classroom. This is a new school. It's really fancy. It's a really nice school. It's got the technology and it's got just really a neat school. I really like your school. And then you do a very good job at GRR, which is gradual release of responsibility. That is one of the strategies that I always push for is, you know, you start with, I do it as a teacher, I do it, I will explain to you the concept. And then after that, then we do it together. So the teacher and the students will do it. So I do it, we do it. And then before you tell them that you do it yourself, the student would do it, is that you need to have them pair up or put in a small group, so that you can monitor and see where they are before you say, okay, you can do it now by yourself. Especially special ed. I think special ed, you need to have more time with them to do that, you know, the one before that you do it, right? Because yeah, the doing it together with a partner is really good, especially with your small group, you know, partner. And then doing it as a small group, like you had your kidney table. If you just do a kidney table with them and actually have them, you know, they have their individual chalkboard and have them to do that, and then do, you know, have them to erase it, then you know who's struggling. I think individual chalkboard is really powerful, right? Because it's $1, but that's the best dollar you could ever spend, and your schools would buy it for you. Because and if you don't have that, but you have a laminating machine, you could get those poster board laminated, and then use the little, you know, the erasable, what do you call those markers that you use in your chalk, in your marker board, the marker for the. Yeah, so you use those, and then you can give them a paper towel or toilet, you know, toilet paper with some, and then clean it that way. And you have a spray, like a hairspray. Hairspray is really good at getting those cleaned up. But I have seen people using it if they don't have the budget to buy, you know, 20 individual chalkboard, and their school does not have, you know, the extra budget, then they will just do something like that. And they have different colors of them. So sometimes you could have them group by colors, you know, things like that. But anyway, but Leslie, it was a treat for me. I always, you know, I'm not there as like, you know, I have to tell you things. I'm there to help and learn from you. And every time every time I observe someone, I always learn a lot. You know, I'm like, oh, if I ever go back to the classroom again, I would do like Leslie did in how you connected it. I did that anyway already, but you know, you do that. Your knowledge of student, you showed me all you know, 5 core propositions. You showed me how you know your students, the strategies you use, how you assess students as they were learning through the individual chalkboard thing, and then you reflected with me, and then you always collaborate with your peers. So you do all 5 core proposition, and if you can do check on all 5, you're doing awesome. So that's how you should. That's how you should. That's how you should grade yourself, right? So I'll see her next week. Next month, huh?
But to you, like, you know, everything. I don't think I have done a great job. If not without you,
you're too humble. You're too humble.
No, I'm not. But yeah, I have really learned a lot of things from you. Like, not just during the Zoom meetings, every time that I'm with you.
I know, they're so funny because I'm in the car with them like 4 hours, and we would pass by a cemetery, and Abby would always say, oh, people are dying to go. My joke, and they're over there telling me things that I would say. I'm like, I'm that predictable, girls, right? Because they would already know what I would say. Like, yeah, fake it till you make it, you know, things like that I would say. I guess Merlina-ism is they would say that to me, and it's so funny when you do it.
If you try something new, your brain will grow.
There you go. If you try something new, your brain will grow. And I tell that to people that did not want to try new food or new things. If you try something new, your brain will grow. And my students always knew that. And specific is terrific. That's one of my favorite. You have to be specific because that's terrific. When you write, when you speak, you have to explain it and so on, because when it's specific, it's very terrific. So those things, right? And so what we're going to do this week is that I'm going to pick them up. They're going to spend a night here at my house. And last time that they were here, they were over there doing karaoke and singing to them. We had so much fun dancing, you know. Yeah, we were just like, and it's so funny because Abby's husband, Alvin, also joined us. And it was like, I wish I had videotaped it. Huh? Tonight, I'm ready.
Abby is here. But yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Merlina, for being in my class. I can't wait to have you next month. I have a lot of things to learn. So I think within the span of, how much months? 6 months, 12 months. Yeah, I think I will learn a lot of things, but I hope you can come in like every week. But yeah,
well, you can teach.
I'm just happy I have you. Like,
you can teach others with what you know.
Yes,
you know a lot. Yeah. But anyway, I always encourage the administrators to observe each other. Like you and Marissa, so you're at the same school. You should try to see during your prep time if you can observe her, and then she does the same thing with you. And then after that, you debrief with each other. Leslie, I really like the way you did this. And Leslie, I wonder if, kind of give each other the glow comment, because then yeah, like both of them is so funny. I was debriefing with both of them. I asked them if, is it okay if I debrief with both of you at the same time? That way you learn, with each other. Like in Brinkley, there's 4 of them. I debrief at the same time. And so they learn from each other. And so yours was Joshua and hers was Nathan. She always called Nathan. And I'm like, you and Leslie, you have like 2 favorite kids. Like you call, I put a tally mark every time she says Nathan, and it's more than 10. Like, and that's equity in the classroom. Equity in the classroom is that you call different kids, male, females, whatever, different ones. You do not call the same person, but for some reason we have our favorites. We have a favorite name or favorite person that we want to know. We are not even aware of that, and that's why. Yeah, and that's why people like I always did my popsicle sticks the beginning of the year where they would decorate it, and I would have them to draw the the triangle, square. Remember I showed you the triangle, square, and squiggle. And circle, like if they are a very friendly person, and that's a circle. So they would do a circle on that popsicle stick, and then they put their name that way. And then that's why I know when I group that you cannot put a square and a triangle in the same group, because a square is very bossy. It's my way or the no way, but then the triangle is like, you have to follow the rules, you have to assign, like they're very rigid. So if you have a square and a triangle in the same group, you're gonna have problems, you're gonna have issues. So, but then the squiggle is very disorganized. So if you have a squiggle person, you cannot put a bunch of squiggles in that group, because they won't accomplish anything. They'll just be so disorganized. So you need somebody with a square there in order to lead them, because squares are leaders. And then you can do some triangle, not triangle, but in another group, you may need a triangle there instead of like a square, because sometimes the personalities there, they don't want to be bossed around. And that's going to be problems, and that's why you have to know your students in order for you to know how to group them. So I would put it in a cup. So I would pull it. Okay. And then once I pulled it, then I put it on my desk. That child is not going to be called until I pull the others, and now it's empty. I put it back all in again, but sometimes they might do a follow-up. They would ask me, of course, I'm going to call them that, if they have a question, but that's equity. You can also use your playing cards. Your playing cards, you just choose, if you have 20 kids, you do 20 cards. And in order for you to pair them, you get another deck, and then you give them to the kids. And then, for example, there's 20, you do 10, 10, they're matching. So they have to find their partner to match. 10 hearts against 10 hearts. If you only have one deck, I would say 10 hearts is matched with 10 diamonds. Okay. And 10, so the reds together or whatever. But I've done that too. Playing cards are good. But popsicle sticks my favorite, just because I'm able to see what the shape is that they chose. But don't tell them the meaning of the shape until they have done it already. And a lot of times you can see your squiggles in the room because their desk is so messy. They're just like, paper everywhere, and it's just so disorganized, not neat. You can see your OCD, a bunch of the squares, and triangles are OCD too. And so they would be like, oh, so neat and very organized. But the rigidity of the triangle, sometimes really do clash with the others, like the square. They will have arguments, and if you look at their popsicle stick, oh, a square and a triangle are arguing. Well, you have this circle. I'm a circle, so you have this circle in the group that would make everybody happy. Just make sure everybody gets along, and that's the circle. That is me. But anyhow, but I could be a triangle. I could be also a square, depending on the situation. But majority of the time, I'm gonna be a circle. So you might want to say to your students, if you're gonna do something like that, is that majority of the time, do you feel like you're a circle? Do you feel like you're a square, whatever? And then your squiggle, it's so funny because your ADHD kids, they are gonna be very disorganized. That's a typical characteristic. They're gonna be squiggles. A lot of my kids are like, I don't know if they just like the squiggle. I don't know what the personality test is like. I don't know how that works, but it just matches a lot. Not every time, but like I want to say 80% of the time it matches. And then later on, they're that's the first week. Later on, of course, when I know them, I would really see if that is the correct shape for them. So sometimes I would put in the back what I think. Like, for example, somebody had chosen that they are circle, but then they're really grumpy. They just were happy that day. When every time you put them in group, they're like, always complaining, or always bossing people around. So I would put in the back of their thing, the actual one. I think this is really a square. This person is really a triangle, And so anyway, so yeah, I have done that too with my students, because then when I group, I would pull one of each. I always say that four people in a group is your limit, because if you do 5 or more, the 5th and 6th one will be a slugs. They're not going to do anything. They're just going to free ride. You free ride like a slug, So you 3 and 4 are really good group numbers. Even when I do workshops, I would always like do that, 3 or 4, and then assigning roles. But anyway, but Leslie, that's a really good things that you have shared. Her superintendent was like, Merlina, you're too expensive. Like, I'm worth it. So I said,
yes, you are.
Yeah, thank you. But I said that she said, you're gonna make more money than me. And I'm like, I don't work every day. I don't.
Yeah.
I limit myself to 2 days, and that's all I want to do, because my husband is, had stroke, and I don't really want to leave him more than 2 nights. And so anyway, so I limit myself. And so I made a deal. I said, okay, you only have 2 teachers, so I'm gonna keep my rate, but I will just come half a day. So then it was okay with him. He said, okay.
Well, if he read your assessment for me, so I think it was very comprehensive. So I think he will relate. Oh, thank God I hired her or something like that. Yeah.
Well, I hope so, but there's no comment. So
there's no comment at all.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Most of the school, they might be busy, would actually comment to like thank you, whatever, even just a thank you, but nothing, none from your folks. So
he replied
in person.
Mr. Guthrie.
They may be.
Mr. Guthrie said that he replied to that. Yeah, he said thank you.
He did.
Mr. Guthrie.
Oh, he did. I haven't checked it yet.
He replied, thank you.
He did. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I'm sure they're talking about it. But anyhow, but the thing is, I'm using the same standards that the principal would be using to grade the teachers. So the teachers are actually given the heads up on what do you need to work on. Okay, so organizing, so there are 4 domains. That's going to be your preparation and planning, and the next one is the environment. That's when I told her that make sure that you display some work of your students. As simple as it is, just you want the students to see themselves in your classroom or outside if you have a bulletin board there. And then C will be your instruction, actual instruction, how students are engaged, what kinds of questions are you asking. I know this, if she asks a lot of what, that's going to be low level. But if you ask a bunch of how and why, like explain how you got that answer. Why did you think that? Or stuff like that. So you have the students think deeper instead of a 1-word answer or a yes and no answer. So I look for those that deeper questions, and I look for engagement. How students are engaged. You're doing something here. Are you the only one doing the work? Then you will be coming home very tired. Your students should be coming home tired because you put them to work. You engage them, like taking notes, for example. That doesn't work with everybody, by the way. So if you have other ways that you can have them be engaged with it, special ed especially, that find out, because if a special ed is frustrated, you are forcing them to do something like taking notes and they can't do it, then you are just defeating your purpose. So make sure you monitor and adjust. Okay, because there are always other ways, like, okay, you and your partner, can you have a note together, something, something like that. If you put them in rows with partners like that, you can help each other at first, that way, before they get so confident on how to do it. Because I always believe in not forcing students to do anything. Don't ever force them. Don't ever force them. Anyway, so planning and preparation, you have your environment, you have your instruction, and then the D would be your professional responsibilities. This is your corporate position 5 is the collaboration part, like asking about how do you actually 4 and 5 was how do you reflect, do you keep accurate records, like, contacting your parents, and do you get involved in the community? I'm encouraging them to attend some ball games or attend, you already do that, like they volunteered at the games and then they got paid for it. Is that right? Yeah. And then what are the professional development that you have actually pursued yourself, that your own, that you wanted to learn? Like, I was such a geek, but I was, when I see something like for example, in Harvard would give you like free PD stuff. There's a lot of courses out there that are free. And I would do things like that. If I see something that, oh, I think I'm low on that, or I'm really interested in that, I'm going to try to see, whatever. So I would look online for things I want to learn on. And so, yeah, that would be a nerd alert over there. But I'm proud of it. So you have any question for Leslie? Because Leslie has the opportunity to be here in the US already. And she's teaching in a school that's got, what is it, 80-20, 80 whites and 20 blacks?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, about 80-20. While everybody else is about 95-5 or something like that, 95 blacks and 5. So hers is the opposite, and she's only 10 minutes from Helena. But I do not think that she should never ever say that, oh, that's why they're misbehaving because of the race. No, it's the poverty thing. Okay, it's a poverty thing. They don't know any better. So they will do better once they know better. So that's why you teach them, because they may not be taught that at home. They may just be screamed at home. So they don't know the rules. So you want to teach them that, so don't ever say, oh, because I'm teaching in whatever, or whatever race that you're saying. That's racist, by the way, if you do that. And so, but you have to think that it's because of poverty. Because the kids are so poor that they do not know their parents are working 2, 3, 4 jobs just in order to pay the rent and buy their food. And so they might not have the time. They may know, but they don't have the time to do that. They may have 5, 6, 7 children also. And so anyway, so you have to remember that. And also giving them a piece of paper or pencil, because they might be so poor that they do not have that at home. And in the Philippines, the teachers are so disappointed with us when we don't have the materials. It doesn't matter how poor you are, you're going to have these materials, right? And our culture, the expectation is the parents are going to be supportive and you're going to be sending the material. It doesn't matter how poor you are, you're going to have these materials. But anyway, not here. So that's why, teachers are given $500 to spend in their classroom. And then, so I don't know, did you get yours, or sometimes they would do $250 and then the rest
I had $250.
Yeah.
But the kids in my class, like all of the kids in Barton are really given like a backpack, and inside the backpack are like 500 pieces of papers and a filer, everything inside, like everything that they needed for school. So each one of them are given that. So
very good. Yeah. Yeah. And also another thing that I could help you also is that I could help you write grants. There are some grants out there, like the Arkansas Humanities Council. I used to be on their board. And so I used to be in the committee to approve the grant. So I kind of know some inside things. And so anyway, so they give you $3,000, up to $3,000 to use in your classroom. My sister and I, Mylet and I, wrote one before I became a board member. And so we did a multicultural unit where we wanted the kids to be involved, to have books that come from China, Korea, different, Africa, all these different books that we found that we wanted to be in our classroom library. And we also did not have at that time, this is in the 90s, we also did not have a TV and a VCR. At that time it was VCR in the classroom in a cart. We don't have that, so we put that in. And so anyway, and then they got approved. So they sent the money, when they approved it, they sent the money to the district. And then we just have to like purchase it, like credit card, for example, and then we turn in the receipt and they write us a check back, because the school has to be the fiscal, they have to be the person responsible for it, because it's money given to the school. And so it's not going to be given to you, because you don't want teachers to spend it on personal stuff. It has to be school related, because in the grant, at the very end is a table of your expenses. So your if you needed that, or if you're going to be paying for substitute or whatever it is, driver, for example, if your grant includes a trip, like a field trip somewhere, and then you're paying the driver, you're going to put the driver is how much you're going to pay for the driver. Okay, and if it's gas is included.
Dr. Merlina,
uh-huh.
excuse me.
Yes.
Sorry, I don't mean to intrude or intervene on that, but just to remind about the time.
Okay,
Dr. Elvin is not here to always.
Yeah, thank you. I did not even pay attention. I get excited about things. Yes, let's we have 5 minutes to finish, because I need to leave and get them, everybody. So let's just, thank you so much. You're so awesome. Okay, so Marissa, when Elvin is not here, you do that for me, okay, please. And then Mithosila, if you're here, and Mike is not here, you're my assistant too. Okay. And so anyway, thank you so much. Okay. So
Doc, we can call them Miss Timekeeper and Mr. Timekeeper.
There you go, Miss Timekeeper. Yep, that's right.
Yep. My class.
Yeah, I was looking for Mike today. I was like, oh, Mike is not here. Something's wrong. But anyway, so I want comments from, especially those that are new. I would like to, if you have even taken one thing from me from this Zoom, I'm happy. That means you have learned something that you're planning to incorporate in your classroom, because the conversation here, we're so organic, like whatever comes up, we'll just like, talk about it. A lot of times, sometimes I also think about, if there's nobody that will bring up, then I will introduce this strategy. And I don't have time today. So I think there was a lot of meat there, especially with Leslie's sharing. So Leslie, thank you so much. So
thank you, Doc.
Yeah, who wants to share, especially what Leslie said? Does anybody have a question, follow-up question for her, or any comment? Because I need to stop so I can leave. So anybody, I guess I need to comment. Tusala, did you gain anything? What did you gain?
Actually, I'm excited also with what Mom Leslie had experienced in the US of A right now. But then I have this question, but it's not related to Mom Leslie. I'd like to ask Doc, if how does it work for the licensure for the SPED teachers? I mean, right now I have a bachelor's degree in secondary education, but then again, I am also taking master's unit for SPED, and I am about to finish 9 hours already for next month, and I'm planning to take more hours more. So do I need to finish my SPED, or will units be enough? Hours be enough.
If you come to the US, Mithosila, if you have your master's degree, you're easier to come here. So master's degree and above will help you, because there is another category there, the 20,000 extra that they will give you for the cap. So your chance is bigger if you have your master's. But licensure wise, you need to match your degree to your experience. So if you are a special ed degreed person, you should be having experiences in special ed. An example of this is like Dr. Pineda, Edison. He had his doctorate in science. And so when he was put here, he was teaching more math than science. He was given like 4 math and 2 science. Well, the Department of Ed folks and myself, I had to argue about that. And they said that needs to be flipped, because they need to be teaching at least 3 courses that match their degree in order for you to get that license, that praxis test. Then you have to take a praxis test here for K-12. And so in order for you to be able to qualify to teach it, one of the questions is that, are you teaching at least 3 courses of this this license that you wanted to pursue. So yeah, I hope that answers your question on the different areas that you are. What happens is that you have your license and they add all the masters. Like I have my masters, I have my specialist, I have my doctorate. So my license has a lot of them there. You know, and I have my curriculum director thing, so my license and that. So anyway, so there's like 10 things in mind. But if you have your bachelor, then you will have that, and then later on when you have a new one and you turn in a copy of your certificate showing that you have your master's, then they will upgrade it. Like I now have a lifetime license, so I don't have to ever apply again. So I have the lifetime license. After you retire in Arkansas, you're given opportunity to like get your lifetime license. Just like you get your lifetime license to fish after you're 65 years old. Yeah. Okay, that was a good question though. Okay, anybody else? Layla or April or Giselle, anybody else that would like to comment, especially on what we said today and what Leslie had shared with us? I might have to call somebody, you know, if you don't volunteer, you're going to be voluntold.
Dr. Merlina.
Yes.
I would like to commend Ma'am Leslie because she's very humble, and if I were on Ma'am Leslie's shoes, I would be very nervous, but I think she's very confident, and she's very ready every day.
Yeah.
And knowing that you are her mentor, and you will be observing her, so I think she's eager, and I think she's an excellent teacher.
Well, she is. She really is.
Keep up
She really
the good
is.
work, Ma'am Leslie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was a treat. Okay, let's give her a round of applause. Remember that cultural thing? Okay. It was such a treat for me to watch Leslie. It was really great. I'm like, I wish I could clone her and make a bunch of teachers just like her. That's what I was, one of my thoughts while I was watching you. I'm like, oh, she needs to be cloned. But it,
to you, so thank you so
no,
much.
you don't she is so bad about giving the credit back to me when it was hers. But thank you so much. No, you have to give yourself credit. You really do, because you are a natural person. Yeah, you have to say thank you.
Remember, Mom, you are also her clone. That is why she's giving it back to you.
Yeah, but do you know in America, that's really hard for Filipinos to take compliments. And that's something I had to learn when I got here, because we always say, you know, oh, no, you just say thank you. I would just say thank you, because you should learn how to just say thank you. You're not being braggart about it. You're just acknowledging, thank you for the compliment. Thank you. You know, so you're just saying that, but I'm not like, oh yeah, I'm so good. You know, that's not like that at all. It's just like, thank you for saying that. Appreciate your kind words. You know, that's what. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you
there
so
you
much.
Go. She's learning. She's learning. Very quick. Yeah. Good job. Okay, so one more person, if you want to say, and then we're gonna stop. Leslie, I'm gonna take a picture of you right now while I'm talking to you, so I can post it on the support group. I'm featuring different people every time, and I put down here featured the name of the person. So yeah. So I've been doing female, male, female, male. I try to do that. Who was it last time? I don't remember.
Female though.
Who?
It's female.
I was female,
It's
sorry.
girl.
As long as I do 3 in a row, Mike, I'm good.
I think it's Sir Metosala.
Was it?
Yeah, because Metosala, Sir Metosala, because we are only 2 here.
Yeah,
2 boys here.
No, I was not. I know I didn't take a picture of that though. But the ones that I posted on the support group is what I'm talking about. I try to post different.
Yes, Doc. Yes, Doc. Yeah. Before me, and the second one is girl, and now it's boy.
Okay, Elvin. No, I took Leslie today. She shared the most for me, so that's why I did that. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, thank you so much. I cannot wait to see them in 4 hours. So, so it's gonna be Jean and Kate are coming to Leslie. So with you guys, okay? All right. So I will say bye-bye. How do you do that? The Queen way? You know. Anyway, oh yeah, like this, right? So I don't want to be pretending like a queen, but you know, so I'm just saying like bye-bye. Okay, bye guys. See you next
Thank
week.
God bless you.
Okay.
God bless you,
Okay.
Merlina.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Bye.
Thank you, Leslie.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. Hey, thank you again, Marissa, for being a timekeeper for me. And
Hello,
also,
Sir Tessie.
Amito Sila, thank you for helping me be my assistant since you are Mike's assistant. Mike didn't show up earlier. So thank you so much. Okay, bye. Bye, everybody. Thanks for sharing,
Bye.
Leila. Okay, bye. I'm sorry, here. I need to end this.